There is a ton of conflicting information out there about where to actually start when you're buying your first home. I mean, if you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you're a first-time home buyer, or you're at least a buyer who has some questions about the process. And you've probably had your uncle tell you one thing and your parents tell you another, and that your friend will tell you not to buy because the market is just gonna crash soon. Am I right? Well, in this video, I'm gonna lay out everything that you need to know about buying your first home as a first-time home buyer. Step one is the down payment, of course. So in Canada, you need at least 5% down in order to buy your first home. However, if you have a 20% down payment or more, then you do not need mortgage default insurance. And if you have less than that 20%, then you're gonna need that default mortgage insurance. So let's just stop right here. If you're a first-time home buyer and the thought of saving 20% is just overwhelming, well, that's because it is overwhelming. But that's why there is the option to put down as little as 5% to get you started in the housing market. And yes, you're gonna have a bit higher payment because you're gonna have to pay that mortgage default insurance. However, that 5% down is in your benefit to get you started now in the real estate market while prices are still reasonable, rather than save up for the next 5 years. So step two is the mortgage pre-approval. Now, for some reason, this is just a step that many home buyers like to skip and go right into looking at houses too often, even if the result at the end of the day is the buyer getting super emotionally attached to a house. They want to buy it and they want to put an offer in just to realize they can't actually afford it. Imagine after 2 weeks, you find your perfect house after you've already looked at like 6 to 10. You've been going to showings, you find the one, you get super emotionally involved, and then we have to pull the offer. You're gonna feel exhausted emotionally, and I have seen it crush buyers to the point where they've gotten so frustrated that they just stop looking altogether. So if you do need a good mortgage broker, no matter where you are in Canada, I do have a couple mortgage brokers that I can set you up with, so please do not hesitate to reach out. So step three, and this is actually where it starts to get pretty fun, but be cautious. So after you've talked to your mortgage broker, you're gonna have a really good idea of what your monthly budget's gonna look like and what kind of home that we can be looking at. So now is when we can start to create your search and your wish list as well as your must-have list. But I always tell clients, try not to make it too specific. You know, things like bedrooms might be a deal breaker, location to some degree, and maybe a garage for some people. But what you do need to ask yourself is what are your non-negotiables and what are your must-haves? And communicate that with me so that I can help you find exactly what you're looking for. However, when you're talking about the colors or the cosmetics thing about a home, those are the things that as a first-time home buyer, I believe you should be a bit flexible on, because let's face it, no home is gonna be absolutely perfect for you, especially as a starter home. And believe me, no matter what home you buy, you're always gonna go in and wanna make it your own. Now, speaking of looking at houses, if you wanna start right now, if you're looking in the Lethbridge area, down in the description below is a link to my app for you to start browsing listings. Or you can also sign up for my auto email listings to get notified with any new listing that hits the market within your desired criteria, so you never miss one. All you have to do is go down in the description below. Step four is set up a showing and start viewing houses. Okay, so you've saved up your down payment, you've talked to the mortgage broker, you have a list of new homes that you want to see that you think might work for you. So at this point, we've probably been talking to each other for a while now. So next is the time where we can start scheduling showings and using your wish list to find the right home for you. And all you have to do is call, text, or email me and say, hey Kurtis, I have a few homes to check out. I was hoping that we can get in them within the next day or so, just to see if they'd be the right fit for me. Now, are all the houses that we're gonna see be a fit? Absolutely not. And that's okay. You could walk into it and 2 steps in, you could say to yourself, oh, this is not what I was expecting at all. Let's move on. And that's totally okay. Now, what we wanna do is get you to the point where you can walk in and you start feeling relaxed and excited and confident that this is the home that you could see yourself living in, having friends over, having family over, growing a family, whatever it might be. It needs to feel like yours. So after we've looked at a couple of houses and you found the perfect house for you, now is the time where we can write an offer. And this is where having a good realtor is extremely important. So here's the thing. I know these contracts and I know this market inside and out, and every situation is different and unique. So my job here is to craft an offer that will give you the best shot at getting your dream home. Last summer, for example, we were in a really hot market, so we often were in competing offers, which means we had a different strategy than we're currently seeing that we need right now, whereas the buyers are in much more control and in the driver's seat, which can sometimes mean you're getting a better deal, and the market is just much more relaxed than it was compared to last year. But we don't know what the spring's gonna be like, so Who knows? And at that time, the strategy is going to change again. However, what we're likely going to write is what's called a conditional offer, which if you're from BC or Ontario, for a long time, conditional offers were not even thought about. Whereas in Lethbridge, conditional offers are the norm. And the two most common conditions that we're gonna write are what's called a financing condition and an inspection condition. So a financing condition means that we have time to bring your accepted offer, but not a final offer, to the bank for them to review to get your final approval on your mortgage. Now this is different than your pre-approval. The pre-approval means that with 100-ish% certainty, you'll be able to forward financing on the home. So once you have that accepted offer, you can bring that to the mortgage broker and they will get you 100% final approval that you're gonna get the house, and we can remove the financing condition. So next is an inspection condition, which allows you, the buyer, to hire a qualified home inspector to go through your potential home with a fine-tooth comb to find out what issues the home may have. What this does is it allows the buyer to fully understand the home that they're buying and what problems they may or may not have when they're purchasing the home, so that you can make the best decision possible. The reason that both of these conditions are important is that they provide the buyer with the opportunity to do all of their due diligence, that they can first afford the house, and second, be aware of any damage or defects that the property has before they actually have to buy the house. Whereas with an unconditional offer, you're basically buying a home and gambling that everything's gonna be okay and you're not gonna have to sink a bunch of more money into it after you buy it. Now that we have the opportunity to remove those conditions and have a fully final accepted offer, does not mean that we're done. There's still a couple more steps, so be sure to stay tuned. But first, I just wanted to stop right here and talk about the sponsor of this week's video, which is Kurtis Clothing. Now, since I got into real estate, I've actually had other realtors come up to me and tell me that I'm very fashion forward and that I'm pretty stylish. But to be honest, I have no clue how to be fashion forward or stylish. Prior to me finding Kurtis Clothing, I used to rely on my wife to pretty much dress me day to day. However, the key to me getting these compliments lately has just been to wear nothing but Kurtis Clothing. If you're like me and you need some help to be dressing more fashion forward and trendier and just put a good outfit together, then I highly recommend going to Kurtis Clothing and checking out their kits. This right here is their Valentine's Day kit, which is their khaki AO jogger, their curved hem white tee, as well as their legacy jacket. All these pieces are super simple and minimalist. There's not a lot of logos on them, which I love. And the fact that they all come in a kit, I just know they're all gonna work together. So if you guys do wanna check out Kurtis Clothing, there's a link down in the description below to 15% off your next Kurtis purchase. The other thing to keep in mind here is that if for some reason the bank declines your mortgage or the inspection finds something that's gonna be costly to be negotiated or fixed, or you're just not comfortable and you actually want to back away from this offer and find something else that will satisfy the bank or the amount of work you're looking to do, that's totally fine. That's why we have these conditions. Now, that's not the only thing that's in the offer. There's multiple pages to this purchase contract, like purchase price, inclusions, possession dates, condition dates, and offer dates, and all of those can change depending on what situation that we find ourselves in. However, that's why I'm here, is to go through all these things with you to make sure that we have a perfect contract at the time of writing the offer. The other thing to keep in mind here is that if for some reason the bank declines your mortgage or the inspection finds something that's going to be too costly to negotiate or fix, or you're just not comfortable with how much work there's actually going to be, then at that time we can back away from this offer and you can find something else that's going to satisfy the bank or the amount of work that you're looking to do. So step 6. But let's say that we have this accepted offer, the bank says that they have approved your mortgage and you have completed the inspection and you're 100% happy with it. Now at this time, we can remove those conditions. And at this time, after those 5 steps, we now finally have an accepted offer. And there it is. You're basically no going back from here. So congratulations, you now brought a new home. However, what this means is that you don't actually have possession of the home yet. So the possession and the closing date of the sale all happen on the same day in Alberta. And that's a date that we have already discussed and specified in the contract prior to writing it. Now before then, you're gonna need to set up insurance, utilities, your cable, your internet, etc. But don't worry, because I'm gonna have a checklist that I'm gonna send you about 2 weeks before possession so you don't miss anything. So step 7 is the walkthrough. So the day before possession, we're gonna do a quick walkthrough of the house to ensure that basically the home is not flooded, there hasn't been a huge fire, and all the inclusions are there that we had initially in the contract, so that you can tell your lawyer to release the funds to the other party the next morning so that we can all get the keys at a reasonable time. Now, a warning here. If we're doing a walkthrough of the home and you say to yourself, man, you know, they really didn't clean up this home and definitely needs a sweep, maybe a vacuum, and probably a mop. Gotta wash the windows, there's fingerprints everywhere, what have you. That, unfortunately, is not a valid reason to try and renegotiate the offer. Because according to the contract, you are gonna receive the home in the similar or same condition as when you bought the home. So if the home was dirty at the time, you can expect the home to be dirty when you get it. Now, I know that part of the contract is pretty vague and open to interpretation. So if we are writing an offer and you think that the home is dirty, then at that point, at writing the offer, then we need to include that term and ask for the home to be cleaned professionally before possession. Again, the big thing that you're looking for on the walkthrough is that the home is in the similar condition as when you offered on the home and that all the inclusions are there. So finally, on possession day, what time do you actually get the keys? Well, according to the contract, it says noon on possession day. However, that's not actually accurate. Basically, on possession day, there are hundreds of thousands of dollars moving from bank to bank and lawyer to lawyer. So in short, I can't really say what time exactly you're gonna be getting the keys. There are just too many moving parts. And honestly, I don't know how long it could take. Sometimes it's at 10 a.m. and sometimes it's at 5 p.m. But don't worry, because I'm gonna be available all day to meet with you to get the keys at your new home. We need to keep in mind is not to book carpet cleaning or internet or anything like that on possession day. Because if they show up at 10 a.m., for example, and we don't have the keys, you don't want to be paying the carpet cleaner to be sitting on the phone in his car, watching TikToks while you're tapping your foot, looking at me to give you the keys. It would be just easier if I could give you the keys, but literally I have one job on that day, and that's not to give you the keys until the lawyers tell me I can give you keys. It's always easier to book those tasks just a day late, or even better, very late in the day, as far in the day as you can. Okay, so I know there was a lot of information in this video, but I hope it provides some insight as to what it's actually like to buy a home as a first-time home buyer. And if it does seem a little bit overwhelming, I promise the whole process is fairly smooth. And the best part is that if you're working with me, you don't need to worry about what your next steps are and what's coming next, because I'm gonna be there with you to make sure that every little step is covered. And I'm working with you in your best interest. So that being said, if you would like to look together, or if you have any questions at all, be sure to call, text, or email me. My name's Kurtis Hawkins with the Real Estate One team at lethbridgerealestate.com. And if you liked this video and found it helpful, please hit that like button. It truly makes a difference. And if you never want to miss another video like this, you don't want to miss any of my weekly podcasts or any of my home tour videos, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.